listening to Sacred Space here on CJUM 101.5 out of Winnipeg, Manitoba. We're sitting here talking with Jeri
Wahinehookai.
There you go. Thanks. I'll be asking
practice. It took me 2 weeks to learn it. My husband's name.
Which means, by the way...
Woman of the Sea.
Woman of the Sea.
Uh-huh.
Beautiful. Which makes perfect sense because your husband is...
sea captain.
A sea captain.
Now retired.
Now retired. Wow.
As was my father. It's all very karmic.
Yeah, how karmic is that?
Do you find sometimes when you come back from a teaching with the ancestors that you can't keep it all in? You can't remember it all. At the time that you're there and you're being taught, it seems so clear. And there's so much, and it's like, wow, why didn't I ever see that before? But then when I come back, there's only maybe a piece of it that I take back with me. And
if you're going to something like a workshop, for example, is that what you mean?
No, when I'm actually, when my grandmothers...
Or traveling in consciousness.
Yeah, when my grandmothers speak to me and they take me in a place and show me a lesson, and I'll just bring back, like, I call it the spit in the ocean, of what they've shown me.
Uh-huh.
And I find that sometimes disconcerting, that I don't remember more.
Well, I know that everyone has a photographic memory, that it's just how we all function and operate.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the more relaxed and open and receiving you are in, when you're being exposed to a given information, the more you will receive the entire picture.
Oh, okay.
And so all that you really need to focus on is the ability to recall. And so there are programs for that. There's a hypnosis exercise for that. And the trigger is memory file search with your index finger touching each temple. And for me, it's much easier to just say, guidance, whoever's in charge of this file, please bring it forward. I need it now. Relax. Go into a meditative state, and you can pretty much recall anything you really need.
Basically the Akashic Records, right?
That too, but that's a little different file.
Yeah, slightly. Yeah, that's more...
And are you going in to find your own information, or are you trying to access someone else's? There's a big difference, and there's regulations about that. Some people have that rank as a practitioner, and others really don't. But that library is there. One of the places we can access through various levels of consciousness and intention.
Can you go into these states of awareness at will at any time?
Or levels of consciousness?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I go there on purpose. Other times I am taken there because it's needed for something.
I don't know. I guess sometimes when I think about my own self, that there's times, mind you, well, I'm just I'm being a devil's advocate here, but forget it.
He does this a lot, Jeri.
I was basically answering my own question in my head, and it was like a stupid question. So it was like, why bother?
They say that the first flash, and I use that term with people. I'm working with someone. Okay, I ask them the question. Ask the question clearly, and then what do you get?
Yeah.
First flash in your mind.
Yeah.
Your first flash is going to be the answer.
Yeah.
How long can you hold on to it? And how much chatter comes in piling on top of it?
How much sweeping do you have to do to actually let it out? Yeah.
Yes. Learning to trust in your own intuitive ability is important.
Yeah, there lies.
Of course, there's discernment.
Yes.
Let's talk about discernment. That I actually was asked a question by one of our guests a couple of weeks ago. Somebody that is having a lot of trouble. He wants to hear, like he'll say to me, you talk about the grandmothers and the lessons you get, and I would really like to experience that.
Such as clairaudience?
Yeah, that type. And George and I were saying, some people do, some people don't. It's like I have a friend that can see animals around people.
Yes.
It's not my gift, and I honor her in her gift. And definitely any lessons she gives me, I listen with an open heart. I'm not envious of her, that's just her. And I was trying to explain that in a way, but I'm so new at this that I don't feel that I could give it. I haven't been on the path long enough. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Uh-huh.
And I couldn't give him, I felt almost sad because I couldn't give him reassurance that someday he'll find his.
Well, first of all, hearing might not be his predominant channel, if you will.
Yeah.
For every sensitive, they each have their own condition. In other words, within our research group, which we started a number of years ago, we all had one thing in common: we're sensitive. But for the most part, the abilities and things are running amok. You can't call them on time. You can't,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jesus had the same problem. We won't go there because I don't want to. It's just very common, let's just put it that way, to a sensitive. And within the group, for example, some people, their first strongest channel is that they're clairaudient. They hear voices. And this is aside from schizophrenia. Anybody who's dealing with that, in my opinion, should look into possibly needing a clearing. And I go into that in my book.
Yeah, it's not through the ears. It's through, like, my third eye that I see and hear. So
yes, and there are two ways to hear. You can actually hear a statement being made, or you can hear a whole thought form. And some hear it being made with a voice, an undescribable voice. It's not male, it's not female, right? But a whole thought form means the whole thing disappears into your head and you could actually verbalize it.
that's a wonderful description. Yeah.
Right. That would be clairsentient. That's my first channel. Second channel, clairaudient, et cetera, et cetera. And some of my associates are first channel clairvoyant, see first, hear second, feel third, et cetera. So it's good to have a combination and it's also good to work with and compare notes and share information with other sensitives. Be supportive with each other. Because in the big world, it's a very strange thing.
It's always more funner to share.
Yeah.
And to go along the journey, along the path with somebody else.
Exactly.
Yeah. We were just touching on, again, you're going to have to help me out with the names here. Ho'oponopono, which is ancient Hawaiian process of clearing. Is that kind of?
Yeah. Solving problems, correcting errors, bringing everything into balance. The very key to the whole procedure is forgiveness. And the ancient Hawaiian procedure, still being done today, by the way, even the court will enlist the Ho'oponopono for problem solving.
Wow.
Especially the family court. And I was elected to do a mediation. It is a kind of mediation thing. Let's say even roommates. You have two families or one family that has some discordance within the family. They call in an elder to do the mediation, and you begin. Each person has a right to speak, uninterrupted, uncriticized, to finish their piece, and the other person has their time. And this continues so that all information is put on the table. Of course, in the beginning, it starts with prayers and calling in benevolent ancestors to assist, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is sometimes debate, because then the person is going to say, and because they did that, they were wrong. The other person says, no, they were wrong, etc. So this is all mediated. If things get emotionally heated, then the elder calls a timeout to just calm the climate.
Mm-hmm.
And that continues, and that can go on for an hour, 3 hours, 4 hours, or a week.
However long it takes.
Depends on what is required for the issue.
Right.
But it can work in all aspects of one's life. Business, personal, all things.
I really get more of a sense now of how for this kind of work you need a bit of both, of the spiritual and the mental, emotional capacities of being able to deal with people.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I understand a bit more now why they would want for people to take the parapsychic science courses, that they'd want people to be fully rounded, not just coming from one place. Now, to talk a little bit about your book, Ghost Night Wednesday. What intrigued me about it was about the dying, because I myself had a near-death experience in 1989. And it was my one... Well, I've had 3 great things that happened in my life. That was the first one, though. The second was doing a Chenrezig, a heart chakra meditation with the Dalai Lama.
Oh.
But the near-death experience was such a...
I take it was a positive experience.
Oh, incredibly so.
Not all near-death experiences are.
I know, you know, and that's what makes me sad. That would be a really sad thing.
Well, for each person, they have their own journey.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, your journey.
For some, the difficulty is coming back.
Yeah, I can understand why.
Some people require psychological counseling.
Yeah.
Some come back and change their lives, don't know their mates anymore. It can be quite disruptive to a family.
Yeah, I can understand it. What I came back with, I called it the profound peace.
Ah, wonderful.
Yeah, that's what it brought. That's what came back with me. It was a very. I certainly don't say for everyone to go out and have a near-death experience, but for me, it was.
Yes, it's not something you want to dial up.
Exactly. Exactly. No more grand mal seizures, please.
Yeah.
3 in my life are quite enough, thank you. But yeah, so I'm trying to think now too that it wouldn't just be near-death experiences that you would be using this with. And the thing I'm thinking of is like people who have had visitations with extraterrestrials. I bet that would be kind of along the same lines.
Yes, that's my work early on was giving assistance to abductees and working with hypnosis to get a handle on what happened to them exactly for their sake, so that the present conscious self can go back and see what happened. And once you put those pieces together, the trauma can be processed, which is what hypnosis regression is good for, any kind of situation.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. From far back as I can remember, one of the things I always wanted to learn was hypnosis, because for me, it was just, it's always been a very interesting tool, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And can anybody be hypnotized?
Well, when clients ask me that question, I don't think you can hypnotize me, and I said, only if you want to be. Those who want to be can. Those who don't, I mean, why bother?
Yeah. What exactly is it? Is it like like I'm thinking of maybe the closest I could come to would be a meditative state. Is that what it is?
It starts out with as much relaxation as possible. It is difficult when you're dealing with younger children, although, by the same token, I find that some of them don't even require hypnosis. Just relax and go back into questions. Just be very sure you're ready to hear their answers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the way children are being born these days, for the past maybe 10 years or more, they have more recall of their past lives or where they have just come from than many others. Spooks their parents sometimes.
Oh, no doubt.